Today we are going to look at a completely new way of playing League, probably the most off-meta pick possible, Yuumi in top lane. Immediately it sounds like trolling, surely there is no way this pick can work, and I would have agreed with you before I met a Grandmaster player named Zolazy, who has been spamming Yuumi Top with an incredible win rate. Watching him play Yuumi Top legitimately makes this pick look unbeatable. He has such a strange laning phase where he looks untouchable, and then empowering his team in a way we've never seen before. This pick has it all: a PowerPoint presentation he links in Champ Select, a whole new way to make a team comp, and the ultimate power of tilting your enemies. I would even say I think it might actually be good. Let me show you why. But first, let me quickly tell you about this video's sponsor, Keeps. Keeps is a subscription service that aims to treat male pattern baldness, a condition that every 2 out of 3 men will experience some sort of by the age of 35. Once you're bald, it's already too late for treatment, so it's important to start while you still have hair, and since we're all League of Legends players, we know it'll all be falling out soon. When you join Keeps, a licensed online doctor will review your information and help recommend the right plan for you, with medication shipped right to your door. Or in the future, it's 2022, no more having to go to the pharmacy or waiting for long doctor visits. The medication Keeps offers are approved by the FDA, and Keeps offers generic versions rather than the expensive name brand ones, so the service can save you money if you're already interested in the market. If you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, then go to keeps.com/HappyChimeNoises to start your research. Or you can click the link in the description to receive 50% off your first order. So why is Zolazy playing Yuumi Top? The answer is actually quite simple. League is a game of resources. You have minions and jungle camps with their XP and gold, and you also have kills. Usually a team comp is built around 4 players sharing these resources, while the support does their best with as little XP and gold as possible. Zolazy saw this and thought, what if there was a way to give the carries even more resources? So he chose a support top laner that needed very little resources to be effective, Yuumi. He could manage his lane early on, and as soon as possible start joining his team, letting his team pick 3 hyper carries to vacuum up all of the resources, now having 2 supports to help them. With this extra gold and XP, his carries are supercharged, being higher level than enemies, having more items, and they also get a Yuumi to buff them up even further. A great comparison is a funnel strategy with Taric Yi, where Yi takes all of the gold, and Taric helps him survive fights so he can carry. But Yuumi Top is a lot more special. In fact, Zolazy even plays solo. He doesn't need a duo. Playing with Yuumi is so simple, this pick can just be thrown into any team comp. 2 days ago, Zolazy matched up against ex-pro player Febiven. Their game was a perfect example of Yuumi Top. After an awful early game from Yuumi and a great early game from Febiven, it looks like the strategy is falling apart completely. But after level 6, Yuumi starts to group up and help set up one good pick in mid lane. Then she sits on her hyper carry jungler for a mid-game fight, using ult to set up a catch, and winning it with his team. This makes Febiven say,
okay, we lost.
Febiven knows that his team are not outscaling a double shield comp, with Sona Yuumi and a Viego to hypercarry them. Also, they just lost a fight to a Yuumi Top. Immediately their whole team is tilted and begin to play worse. And Febiven was not wrong. From that point they had no chance, losing every fight and losing the game to this combo. I don't mean to flame Febiven, he was over 5 hours into his stream by this point, I love Febiven. Any player would be tilted losing to a Yuumi Top, and that's one of the main benefits of this pick. Imagine you're playing versus a Yuumi Top, and your top laner is losing to it. They can't get a solo kill, they can't punish him, they might even be losing trades. Think of how tilted you would be immediately from this. Zolazy believes she's one of the most snowbally champions in the game, because when she's ahead, she denies enemies from making picks. Just like Febiven showed, even if you play perfectly early game, a couple of tiny mistakes and Yuumi takes over. But let's take a step back. We're talking about Yuumi top lane. There are so many problems with this idea. How can he survive laning phase? How can he get enough gold to do anything if he's not laning? And how can he even get in a game without people dodging? So let's travel to Champ Select to see how Zolazy fixes these issues. Welcome to his Yuumi Top presentation. This is what he links in every lobby before he picks. Yuumi Top and why it's not troll. Even good? In laning phase, Yuumi has a passive shield up at least every 14 seconds. This shield stays around until enemies hit her, so in trades, Zolazy will always have this bonus health for enemies to get through before they can actually begin the fight. It also restores mana periodically when she auto-attacks an enemy champion, so that helps her with sustain, and it's very easy for her to do this in a 1v1. Yuumi also has her E, the heal, giving a large amount of health and the speed that lets him kite out enemies if they ever engage. Even taking double combat summoners top lane. He believes that exhaust Exhaust plus Ignite helps him survive, and dissuades enemies from diving him. You could argue Flash might be more useful than Ignite, but Exhaust especially lets him make one mistake and still be completely fine. It might sound crazy, but Yuumi Top really cannot lose lane if you play it properly, which is insane for solo queue. Zolazy has found a way to stay consistently even, and is able to scale into mid game for free, so there is very little risk in this pick. It's very similar to our other video about the unbeatable Grandmaster Soraka mid. It has sustain to survive lane and can collect enough resources to really be useful, and these things are really more than enough, because all he wants to do is use the lane to get to level 6, where he can immediately leave lane to sit on his carry and live happily ever after. This all sounds great in theory, it's a great TED talk, but let's see how it goes in game. At level 1, Zolazy goes into the bushes to stall for as long as he can. He takes his E, the heal. If enemies engage, he can use it to stay alive and kite back. The big mistake enemies make is trading with you already in your wave. If they go in on you, it will start to push towards you, since your minions will stop hitting the enemy's minions and will focus the champion, but the enemy's minions will be far away from you and stay aggroed on your minions. So your minions die first, leading to Yuumi getting to safety underneath her tower. Zolazy is a Grandmaster player. He's an expert at wave control and positioning. He knows exactly where to stand to get CS and avoid the enemy's trade. Even on Yuumi, he can use this skill. He's never overextending. Here, the only reason he walks up is because his jungler is nearby. He knows he can bait the enemy to go in, because who wouldn't be baited to fight a Yuumi top lane? Even the fact that he's playing an immobile, squishy top laner makes the enemy support roam up to try and punish it, which somehow leads to Aurelia dying again. But seriously, this is Grandmaster, so people can actually punish overextensions and roam up early. For top lane, he has a new rune page. Their goal is to keep him alive, as well as empower him later on. He takes Summon Airy for poke, with scaling minor runes to reward him if he does manage to escape laning phase. His secondaries, according to him, the easy mode runes is taking bone plating to help avoid a combo in lane. Every time this is up, it can stop him from dying. But if you're really the next Faker, then Revitalize should be your choice for more scaling, because I guess early game on Yuumi Top is just too easy. Back to lane, Yuumi keeps collecting CS and XP, positioning just out of range of the enemy combo. But doesn't the enemy top laner's champion make a difference? Let's start with the easiest enemy possible and then go on to some really hard ones. Sometimes you get a free matchup that even Yuumi can win, like this one against Kayle. Yuumi's able to push the wave and get some good trades. But even in the easiest matchup possible, he's still playing like a Grandmaster top laner. He crashes a huge wave so that it pushes back to him. This gives him time to walk out of lane and avoid the 3-minute gank, while searching for the enemy jungler with the vision plant, only returning to lane when he knows he is safe, even setting up a 2 vs 2 kill for their first blood. He's not just AFK watching Netflix like most Yuumi mains. If you still don't believe it's possible to survive lane as Yuumi, why not watch him play versus current pro player Finn, on an early game champion, Renekton. Renekton's a specialist against squishy, so it should be good. Oh, and Yuumi also used both of her summoners at level 1 to get his team a kill. It's quite literally the worst situation for Yuumi. This player, Finn, has been to Worlds to play against Korea and China's best teams, and has even made the legendary escape from the dying organisation CLG. But can he handle Yuumi Top? Thanks to Yuumi's positioning, Renekton cannot even reach him in lane. The trades are even. When Renekton finally gets an advantage, he looks for a dive, but Yuumi's heal is too much and he can't get the kill. Yuumi buys enough time for his jungler to finish pathing top lane, and they win a 2 vs 2. Yuumi has now already outscaled Renekton. According to Zolazy, the only matchup that is unplayable is Mordekaiser, as he can split you up from your carry with his ultimate, so that's a good one to ban. So Zolazy and his tools have been good enough to get him to level 6. Now the fun really starts. Almost immediately he leaves his lane. Zolazy groups up with his best roaming carry. Most of the time this is his jungler, but the benefit of having 2 supports on his team is that the rest of his team can pick hyper carries like a Kassadin, and he can help them become unstoppable way earlier than normal. For his gold income, he now buys spell thieves, as he's no longer CSing, and collects gold from assists. When jumping on a mid carry, he can now help them push wave, speed them up to roam top lane, to collect a kill on the overextended enemy top, and then even get them an extra wave. The enemy top laner will be forced to try and kill your tower, or get flamed by his team for letting Yuumi make plays around the map. If they fall for this trap, then that's just even more kills for Yuumi's carry. Your carry is now your best friend. Yuumi sticks on them while they gank top lane to keep them alive in the 1 vs 2, she follows them to farm waves, kill camps, basing, then back to farming and killing top again. There are now so many extra resources for your team to grab, whereas the enemies are still tilted and feeling the pressure to punish this troll pick. You can now think of Yuumi as an item for her carry. Firstly, because Yuumi will follow them everywhere, but also because having Yuumi is like giving your carry an extra mythic item. They get long range CC, a speed up, and healing, so they can win any 1v1. And thanks to the teleport nerf, which is now live, this pick is now even better. The enemy top is going to struggle to follow your roams before 14 minutes. In teamfights, Yuumi Top's goal is to stick on her biggest carry, landing a huge ultimate to set up kills for them to collect. She can jump around to help others, but most of the time, since you have 2 supports, enemies will just be running for their lives to avoid all of your CC. In mid-game you want to be on the playmaker, like your jungler who can roam around. The later the game goes, the more important it gets to be on your main damage carry, that you know can just 1 vs 5, letting them pull off some stupid plays. Before we give this a rating on our off-meta tier list, here is his custom Yuumi Top build. Starting with Dark Seal, because Yuumi doesn't die very much, he can stack it easily. Refillable Potion if you're Grandmaster and really good, otherwise triple potion. He buys Spell Thieves at level 6 with a sweeper, giving him gold and his team extra wards. First item is always Moonstone. He buys Putrefier if enemies have healing, into Medjay's if he's getting stacks, as well as Wardstone, which is great for double pink wards. He can then choose between all of these items, they're all great on Yuumi, and can even get Rabadon late game to increase his damage and healing. In conclusion, let's give it a rating. The benefits of Yuumi Top check out. She is a champion you have to punish in lane, similar to a Kayle. If you don't, she'll outscale you and destroy you. Everyone knows how powerful she is when she's healing a carry in a fight. That's one of the reasons her ban rate is so high. But there are some big drawbacks that you might not have even noticed. One reason it works so well for Zolazy is his insane auto spacing. He only takes really short trades, so he takes 0 damage thanks to a shield. If you miss position once on Yuumi Top, you're going to die. Zolazy almost never does this. And he also takes exhaust, so even if he does, he can mess up one time and still get to 6 safely. Furthermore, he's in Grandmaster, so in many of these games his jungler knows they need to path top to protect him from a 2 vs 1 dive. But if you're playing in low elo, it's more likely you just get flamed, reported, and inted, even if you have a strategy prepared. Since Yuumi Top is a high reward pick that completely breaks the current team comp meta, with a solid theory behind it that forces enemies to adapt, as well as great scaling, my rating for this build is an 8 out of 10. I talked to a Challenger player as well as 3 Master and Grandmaster players who all knew about Zolazy, and their opinions were quite similar. It works really well because he is a great player and he has a really good plan. He's never going to be the reason he loses his team the game, and they even suggested this might be the new version of Taric Yi, so who knows, we might see boosters playing it sometime soon. Leave a comment and let me know your thoughts on Yuumi Top. Would you play with it now that you understand the game plan? Zolazy has a Twitter for updates on his climb, and tips for the strategy. Thanks again to Keeps for sponsoring this video, link to both is below.